Hey guys, it's Dave again. I hope you're having a good time in our boot camp. Hope you're learning a lot. And what I'm going to talk to you today about is sort of the mindset you need to be a good recruiter of both customers and coaches. But coaches in particular, I think is kind of where we're going to focus more on because I think that's harder for people, and I'll get into that in a minute. But what I really want to start with is this concept of intent over technique. So we've spent some time learning some technical stuff, right? You've been through and you've looked at Tommy Migrant's 5-step process for recruiting customers and the 5-step process for recruiting coaches. That's technical stuff, right? That's sort of the how. I want to get into your brain right now because what I know is that if you can learn all that stuff and all that stuff is really great and it will definitely help you, but if you don't have this stuff sort of hardwired into your brain, it's not going to matter because you're either going to avoid doing it or people are going to see you coming a mile away as a salesperson, and that is not good. So let me start with this, intent over technique. I went to, at Summit a couple of years ago, they brought in a sales training guy, you know, like they do, and he started talking to us, and he explained something really important, and it's always really resonated with me. And he said, you know, there's this little part of your brain, it's sort of right back here at the base of your skull, I'm not really sure what it's called, but it has one function, and that function is to determine whether whatever is happening in front of you, circumstances or information, people, a dog, whatever it is safe or unsafe. If this little piece of your brain determines that the information or the circumstance is safe, then it'll allow you to proceed forward and continue to experience that moment until it determines it's unsafe. If, however, it determines it's unsafe, you have two choices, fight or flight. In our business, fight looks like a bunch of objections. Flight looks like people avoiding you or simply just not getting back to you. And I think you've all sort of experienced that. I know I have, right? And I know that it's probably because I did something that indicated to that person that I wasn't safe. So what I want to get you guys into is a mindset that will allow people to accept the information that you want them to learn about how to be a Beachbody coach, okay? That's not a technical thing. It's more of a mental thing. It's more about your intention and people observing you being a certain way, okay? So I hope that makes sense. I'm just going to keep going. If it doesn't, please ask questions, all right? Well, I want more interaction in the groups, by the way. The first mindset thing you need to understand is that as a coach, you are an entrepreneur. What does that mean? What it means is that you are responsible. This business was hard for me at first. And this was why. I figured out this was really why. Because I was a lawyer and I always worked for firms. And I had people funneling work at me. And I never ever thought my job was to go out and get work. My job was to do work that other people were bringing to me. My job was to do whatever these people told me to do. That's not how entrepreneurs work. Entrepreneurs understand that they're solely responsible for the success or failure of their business venture. You need to adopt that mindset. And I'll tell you what, that mindset is actually very, very attractive to people. So we're going to talk about this concept of being attractive, right? That's a big part of this mindset stuff. When you have the good intention and you don't set off that little, thing in people's brains, you become very attractive to you. People want information from you. This is one way because we are not taught this in school. We're taught to go to work and be a robot. That's what I was taught. Very few people are able to accept full responsibility for their life and their business. And when you do, you become very, very attractive. Furthermore, it's simply required. Okay? If this thing works, it's because you did it. If it doesn't work, because you didn't do it. And when I first started, that was somewhat terrifying to me. And then I realized it was really liberating because what it meant was I was in control. Okay, and some of you know my story and you know the law firm that I was working at fell under some tough economic times and had to let me go. Totally outside of my control. And I decided I would never let that happen again. And the way I did it was by accepting responsibility. So that's the first thing, responsibility. The next thing is a belief in Beachbody. Now, when I say belief in Beachbody, I'm not just talking about products, I'm talking about the business too, okay? I think accepting a belief in Beachbody's products is probably easy for most of you. You know, most of you probably were customers and hopefully you had an awesome experience and got some great results using using these phenomenal products. And if you did, you've probably already established a great belief in Beachbody's products, right? And that's great. You need that. You need that. It's one of the reasons why I usually start my coaches out as customers. Because I know that once they become a coach, they probably already have a really strong belief system about the products. If you have no problem retailing products and getting customers, this is why. You believe that our stuff works. And so it's so easy to come up here and transfer that belief to somebody else because they're not afraid of you. They know you're not lying. If you came up to them with a product that you've never tried, they would probably say, this sounds like a sales pitch, and it probably would be. But when you have this belief, your intention comes through crystal clear to them and they realize, oh, you're just passing on a recommendation about something you love. Products, important. Also important. Our business. You got to believe this business works. Okay? And that belief includes understanding that we're a network marketing company. This is an MLM. That's how it works. I tried to deny this for a really long time. I would say things to people like, it's not like network marketing. Don't do that. This is network marketing. That's what it is. Okay? And if you're struggling with this belief system here, as I did, I had a hard time with it. I was like, no, I know network marketers. They're all a bunch of skeevy liars. Keep in mind I was a lawyer when I was saying these things, right? But that was my belief system. Not very successful with that belief system. I did not get very far with that belief system. I had a belief in the products, but I had a really hard time wrapping myself around the idea of saying I'm a network marketer rather than I'm a lawyer. It didn't work for me. It did not work for me. Finally had to understand that being a network marketer or being in network marketing did not mean that I had to act in any way, in any particular way. It's simply a business model. It's nothing more than that. You get to conduct your business the way you want to conduct it. I decided really early on that I was not going to cut corners and that I was not going to lie to people and that I was not going to do anything that I felt was unethical. And I have. And we've built a huge business doing it. And I've done it by building relationships with people and having fun. Okay? That's my belief system in our business, and no one will ever convince me otherwise. So when I come around to talk to people, sure, I've got some good technique, but I also have what? I have a fundamental belief that what we have is awesome. It's awesome. You want to be a part of my business because I believe it's cool. And it is. And people see that right away. You can't fake that. You can't fake that. You'll set off the thing in their brain. I guarantee it. You can try. See what happens. See if you don't get fight or flight. Pay attention to this. Okay? Very, very important. The other thing it takes out of this scenario when you adopt this thing, you get rid of desperation. Okay? You flush that. Please join my team, please. Nobody wants to be a part of a sinking ship or something that, requires desperation to get involved with. People are always asking themselves, do I want to be like this person? And can I do what they do? And if what you're doing is begging people to get into business with you, that's not something people ever want to do. If what you're doing is being an entrepreneur, that's something people want a piece of. Most people recognize they want to build a future for themselves. Most people also are not willing to take it on, but they understand that fundamentally that's what they really want is control over their destiny. This will help you translate that. All right, the third thing you need, I'm going to try and not fall over here, is another belief. And that is a belief in self. I'll put that all in caps because I think it's so important. That is an E. Belief in self. This is fundamental. Most people that I know who have not had a degree of success in life, forget Beachbody, just life. Okay, whatever business they're in, whatever their marriage, family situations. That's why. That's why. A lot of people don't feel that they're worthy of success. I was the same. Now, people, I think, from the outside looked at my life and said, oh, you're super successful. You're a lawyer. You're making like $150,000 a year. You drive a Mercedes. You have a house. You got the kids. You got the wife. You're happy. I was scratching the surface of my potential because I didn't believe that I was worthy of having more. I had to take that on. I had to first recognize it, and then I had to go and I had to take it on, and I had to flush that crap out of my mind and start to believe that not only was I worthy of success, but I deserved success. And that if I was willing to do all these things and willing to help other people change their lives, that was good. And people who do good things deserve to be rewarded. Not that they should be rewarded, but they deserve to be rewarded. And I changed my mindset. I changed how I thought about things, and everything changed for me. My Beachbody business got better. My marriage got better. My athletic skills got better. Everything in my life, my friendships, my relationships with other people, everything got better when I started to believe that not only was I worthy, but that I deserved it. Now, I don't know what other beliefs you might have, okay? Maybe you think that you're not smart. Maybe somebody, when you were little, told you just weren't smart enough. So you got that screwed into your head. However you're going to do it, flush it. This is why we have this thing called personal development. I can tell you I've met very few people who are hardwired for success. There's a few. And they stick out like a sore thumb. And you see them, you start talking to them, and they tell you about their parents and everything that their parents did to help them be successful and how they've always been supportive and blah, 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 blah. I didn't have that. Maybe you didn't have that. If you didn't, it's time to give that gift to yourself. Okay? This is how you do it. If you need some recommendations for what to do, talk to me. Talk to me. I'm more than happy to give you recommendations and tell you what I did in order to change this, which then allowed me to go on and be successful and be attractive. Okay? What's attractive? People who have a strong belief in themselves. Not cocky. Not a cocky person. Not an overly confident person. Not a jerk. But somebody who has a strong belief in themselves. Somebody that says, yeah, I could do that. Mm-hmm. Sure. I'd have to figure it out, but I could do it. All right. So that's the next one. This is huge. All right. Next one. Something a lot of people don't do. Building a vision for your team. What do I mean by this? One of the things you did as part of this boot camp group was you created your ideal customer avatar. It's sort of what we call it, right? It's who's your ideal customer? Who are these people? Who's your ideal team? Because I can guarantee you, if you don't have a vision of that, you're going to end up with whoever. Good luck. Good luck with whoever. I don't want whoever as a business partner. I wanted Ryan Chapman as a business partner. Several years ago, before I met Ryan, I sat down and I thought, who are the people I want on my team? I want married people because they get me. I want people with kids because they get me and I get them. I want people who maybe have had a professional career, not necessarily, but yeah, that would be cool to have people who are, former professionals and weren't really happy or satisfied with corporate America. Ryan Chapman and his wife were both engineers working at the Navy shipyards. They had twins, wanted to change their life. Came along, boom, right time, right place, perfect culture for me, great guy to work with. That's because I thought about it. I sat down and I thought, who do I really want to be in business with? I didn't just let the culture of our team sort of maybe somehow develop kind of cool. We sat down and we said, what does it look like? What do we want? And then those people started to appear because we became attractive. We were entrepreneurs. We had a strong belief in our business. We had a strong belief in ourselves. All of a sudden, these people want to have that because that's pretty attractive. Okay? Next thing. Super important. Fail. Okay? Now, when I say fail, what I mean by that, I don't mean fail and quit. I mean fail and persevere. Understand that you have got to come to terms with failure. You've got to learn to embrace it. You've got to learn to love it. Okay? This is another thing. It's a lot like being an entrepreneur. This is not what we're taught to do. I was raised in a home by 2 other lawyers. Then I went to law school. You make mistakes in law practice, you get sued for malpractice. Maybe you'll lose your bar card, your whole livelihood. Mistakes were bad. It took me a long time to get good with that. Failing Forward, book by John C. Maxwell, is really good if you're struggling with this. I read that book, and I started to change what I did. And I realized that the failures in this business aren't catastrophic. No one's going to pull away your coach license unless you do something really egregious like selling stuff on eBay, which is not a failure, that's a choice. Okay, a failure is saying something stupid. You don't know how many times I've been talking to somebody and I've wanted to just reach out and physically grab the words and stuff them right back into my mouth. Like when I used to tell people, it's not like network marketing. Because of course it is. Because that's what it is. I had to fail. I had to fail. It's only a real failure if you quit. That's the only time you really have a true failure, is if you quit. Because the more you fail, the more you're doing. That's the one thing I know. Sorry, I kicked the camera there. That's the one thing I know. The only thing that frustrates me about people is if they don't do anything. Okay, if they're out there making a list and sending out invites and they're just striking out left and right, it's probably just an issue up here. We can fix that if you're willing to keep going. But if you're not willing to fail, if you're not willing to make a mistake, it's not going to happen for you. Okay? You're watching this video right now. I'm filming it here, July of 2014. This is the 4th time we've tried to create a bootcamp program like this. Okay? I'm really confident in this content. Why? Because we failed at a bunch of other stuff. I know what doesn't work. I know what doesn't work. It's really simple. So fail, okay? Don't repeat your failures though. Important thing to remember, that the first time you make a mistake, that's a mistake. The second time you make the same mistake, it's a decision. Stop making dumb decisions, okay? Failure is about trying. You're simply not going to win everybody. Not everybody wants to be a coach, and that's okay. Not everybody needs to be a coach, all right? So hopefully you've kind of understood this idea of intent and technique. You know, I want to sort of draw this analogy. Let's pretend this is a ridge and we've got the ocean down here. Up here, we sometimes have this thing called a lighthouse, right? And a lighthouse has this beam that comes off of it. Here's an old saying. A lighthouse doesn't go around looking for ships in the night. The ships find the lighthouse. If you can master these things, you become a big lighthouse standing up on top of a cliff. People will find you. You understand who they are and who you want on your team. You develop a rock-solid belief in our business and our products. Develop yourself, work on yourself, get good here, and accept these things, that you're an entrepreneur and that means you're going to fail and that failure is the path forward. I'm telling you, people will want to be just like you because that's what people want for themselves. All right, guys. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Again, I hope you're enjoying the boot camp. If this is not making sense to you, please post a comment. Let's talk about it. This is a very important issue. Tomorrow, we'll get back to technique, but for right now, let's work on intent.